Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Football Update. It's almost time for the amazingness that we like to call the draft. That time when everyone overshoots and makes ridiculous predictions, which is why we'll only give tiny updates from after this series of videos after the draft to about the regular season. My name is Jeremiah. I'm a Seahawks fan, clearly, but we're not focusing on the Seahawks today because we're talking about all 32 teams, and I decided to put the emphasis not on my own division because I can talk about my own division later, and I don't need tons of notes for it. I'm going to start with the AFC East. And why? Because there's some great teams in the AFC East, and just like I said on the postcard, I did say I was talking about the AFC East today, so that's another reason why I'm talking about it. Let's get started with the Buffalo Bills, who were the division winners last year in the AFC East. You got Emmanuel Sanders coming back, who looks great, a versatile receiver, and now you have a three-headed monster receiving core that's truly something to behold. You got Cole Beasley, you've got Diggs, who helped Josh Allen become an MVP last season, MVP candidate, and now you're putting in Emmanuel Sanders to help that core continue to build, that Bills team just getting better and greater and wah. So of course, why wouldn't you get someone like Diggs in your team? Then you got to talk about Tyler Kraft, who left for the Jets, tight end for the Buffalo Bills. But you know how every good receiving core needs good tight ends. Well, they're getting Jacob Hollister, who I can say as a Seahawks fan is a pretty dang good clutch tight end. Maybe not the biggest guy, maybe not the most spectacular blocker, but he's clutch, and he's even clutch in blocking. You can count on him to do some cool moves and stuff. As a Seahawks fan, I could say he is definitely a good asset for this Bills team, who just looks even better from last season. The one thing that I'm a little confused about is the Bobby Hart thing. New offensive lineman, not great at the Bengals. We'll see how that goes with this new team in the Buffalo Bills. Okay, well, they were 13-3 last season. Their biggest loss, in my opinion, is Quentin Jefferson, which, and that's so far this free agency. I mean, of course, we don't know if some of their unrestricted free agents are coming back, or if they are going to move on to brighter pastures. But Quentin Jefferson being their biggest loss so far really does make it so the Bills are one of the most stable teams in the league going into next season after their 12-4 record. Teams mostly coming back. That's pretty dang awesome for the Bills. I think that they are still a strong playoff contender based on what has happened so far during free agency. Now we go to the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa still as their main QB. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick's gone, went to the Washington football team. So they had a nice corner in Byron Jones to contribute to reinforce that Miami great defense. It already was a top 5 defense last season, a top 10, top 5. It was something like that. It was really good. Well, thanks heavens for Will Fuller. Will Fuller's a pretty dang good receiver. I think that the one thing is that he gets injured a lot. I don't know how sustainable he is. I would say that you've got to be very careful when you talk about that kind of stuff. Eric Flowers decided the instant he left the Giants that he would become a pretty decent guard. So he's coming all the way from there to, after being at the Jaguars, doing pretty good there, he's coming over to this Miami team. So Eric Flowers is going to help reinforce that Miami offensive line, which is okay but not great. Maybe he can be part of what makes it a pretty great offensive line, right? Emmanuel Abu was recently pretty good asset for the Chiefs and Browns, now in Miami, which is pretty cool because he's a pretty dang good pass rusher. I've heard of his name. I've seen him do some cool stuff. He definitely will even make that Miami defensive front even more scary. Malcolm Brown is a former Rams running back who's pretty good as well, and he's going to be added on to that Miami offense, which is not great, but it's pretty dang good, and this will make it even better. And you know what? Duke Riley, solid linebacker, coming in from free agency. Miami, I think, has a really good opportunity to be a playoff upper echelon contender. The one thing is that we got to figure out if Tua Tagovailoa is the guy. You got to see if he's the guy. We'll see next season. And we'll see if they can be a playoff contender, maybe even a Super Bowl contender like the Bills. Now, of course, the Patriots are interesting because first things first, before we go into any free agents, Cam Newton was injured last season. He was a little, he had COVID, and before COVID, he was pretty dang good for that Patriots team, and after COVID, he was pretty dang not great for that Patriots team. But now he's going into another season. He's more reinforced. He's better equipped. I think that he really has got a chance to be that quarterback that gets maybe the Patriots to another playoffs. I know that sucks for a lot of fans to hear that, but I think he really could. Now, of course, they've added a lot of people. They had Matt Judon as an edge rusher who came from the Ravens. The Ravens have a pretty dang good pass rush. So I am expecting him to put in some good miles for this Patriots team. Jalen Mills is a safety to add in some of that safety reinforcement. It was pretty dang good on the Eagles defense that won the Super Bowl. Now, of course, the Patriots signed Trent Brown as right tackle, who was one of the most expensive assets on the market this year as a free agent. Now, of course, he's really good at protecting the passer, so that should be really good for Cam Newton, I think, this season. Kyle Van Noy is an edge rusher from the Dolphins. Again, Dolphins had an amazing pass rush last season who just transitioned, transited just like his ability back when team where he won the Super Bowl with. So yeah, he literally is going back to the same team he won the Super Bowl with in the Patriots, and then he went to the Dolphins, went back to the Patriots. He's now back to the Patriots. Good for him. We'll see how that goes with that defense. Now, they need tight ends, so that's why they have Hunter Henry from the Chargers, and they have Juno Smith from the Titans. Some really good tight ends, solid tight ends to tighten up that offense and make it a little bit more squeaky clean, unless, Cam just trying to do stuff with an offense that has receivers. Kendrick Bourne is a wide receiver who's pretty dang good for the 49ers. I know because I've seen him play. You've got to be watching out for Kendrick Bourne. Of course, one of the things about the 49ers receivers is that they are pretty injury prone, so be careful with that. But other than that, Kendrick Bourne, really good. I think that he can really reinforce that Patriots offensive scheme. Ted Karras is a center who arrived from Miami. I think he's okay. I don't really know that much about him, guys. But he's a free agent that they signed. I'm expecting him to be something that maybe could be a pretty decent asset for him. Henry Anderson is an 19-year defensive lineman from the greatest team franchise of all time in the Jets. I'm just messing with you. I bet Henry Anderson's pretty good because the Patriots aren't stupid. But at the same time, he's from the Jets, so I really can't gauge anything about him. Yeah, I am Gase as a coach last year. How am I supposed to know anything about Hunter Anderson? I mean, he's probably good. Nelson Aguilar. Oh, man, he's a good receiver. He's a good receiver, and he's going to be awesome, and we'll see if he can stay healthy. That's all I can say about Nelson Aguilar. J.C. Jackson is here. J.C. Jackson's a really good receiver, guys. Thank for the heavens, J.C. Jackson. Pretty dang good player. And, of course, Cam Newton returns to the team. Man, I wonder if I got J.C. Jackson wrong. I don't have him written down in my notes. I think he's a receiver. If he's a pass rusher, I apologize. That's the one big issue. It's the one big gap I had in this video, if that's true. The Jets hired a new coach, Robert Saleh, defensive coordinator from the 49ers. I know this is the fourth team. I've been just rushing through telling you about these teams. Oh, don't worry. I'll give you one more analysis over all four of them after I get through all my main notes that I've written down. But Jets hired a new coach named Robert Saleh. Corey Davis is a wide receiver, formerly a pretty good Titan. Now he's a Jet, which is interesting. Corey Davis, let's see what he can do at this team. He had a pretty good connection with Ryan Tannehill. Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen. Tevin Coleman, really good running back from San Francisco. Now, of course, Tevin Coleman does have some injury issues. Again, talking about that, you got to be careful with some of those injury concerns. But that doesn't mean that you can't count him out as a pretty dang good running back for this Jets operation. There's a lot of free agents that I didn't really know too much about, so other than those 3 people mainly. So I'm just going to let those people play and see how they do. But I'm going to go back to say, right now, I'll say this. So I'm going to do ceilings and floors kind of what I'm thinking. Now the Bills, they have so many great assets. Even if Josh Allen wasn't playing, they could go 8-8. They're just an amazingly stacked team. They got a great head coach in McDermott, and they got a really solid defense and a really spectacularly diverse offense. So I would say the Bills' floor is like 8-8, and I would say their high is probably like 13-3, 14-2, something crazy like that. They're a really good team. They can be a Super Bowl contender easy by the beginning of the season. We just gotta wait and see because we don't know yet. It can be the floor or the ceiling. You never know with the team until you get started with the season. I mean, San Francisco is one of those cases where you have all those injuries, makes you automatically not that Super Bowl contender because there's just so much competition in the NFL. Miami, on the other hand, their floor is interesting because they have a great defense, but if their quarterback cannot sustain, that's going to be an issue. They go 7-9, 6-10. But if, let's say, Tua Tagovailoa gets under his feet, this to be that quarterback they need, they could easily be a Super Bowl contender. That 13-3 range, their range is way bigger than the Bills, I think, because I could see Miami going like 7-9. I can't see the Bills going 7-9. And honestly, like I said earlier, for the Bills, it's like if someone gets injured. If they're Miami, I'm just like, hey, if they're this team and everyone's healthy, but Tua can't get it done, they don't have a good backup, well, 7-9 might be in their future. But if he develops, if he becomes this quarterback that they need, they could really go to 13-3, something like that. Maybe even win the division. So Miami, really good contender. Now, of course, the Patriots, like a lot of people said, they didn't just like, I don't know about the Patriots. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know what their tactics are. They still have Bill Belichick as a head coach. They've got Cam Newton, who's a pretty dang good quarterback. I know that you don't believe in him, but he just got injured, people. You cannot take that away from the man. So, I would say Patriots could be anything from a 4-12 dumpster fire to a borderline Super Bowl 11-5 team. You never know. They have some really good pieces now in receiver. I don't think Cam Newton's dried up. I think that their floor is more like 8-8. But like, since a lot of people were saying like, oh well, you never know, and I'm just like, yeah, you don't know if Cam Newton getting COVID has affected them extremely, and they just won't have a really good starting quarterback, or if he can still be what he was at the beginning of last season. If he can be that, then I think they can at least go 8-8, if not be a playoff contender. So that's borderline Super Bowl contender. Again, one of these three teams is going to be the 8-8 team or that 7-9 team. We're just going to have to see which one that is. Now, of course, last but not least, you've got the Jets. And honestly, guys, the Jets could go 1-15 this year. They could go 11-5. They're not going to go 12-4, but they can go 11-5. Like they're going to have a new quarterback. Who knows? Maybe they'll be like Russell Wilson. Maybe he'll be magical. You don't know. I really don't know because half their stuff needs to be addressed in between free agency for the bunch of players that you don't know about and the draft with a bunch of players that haven't played the NFL. You really can't gauge what the Jets are going to be next year at all until you actually see them play some games. And we'll see how Robert Saleh is the head coach because he's never been head coach before in the NFL, so who knows? That's what I would say about the Jets. So, just to recap, we're going to have more teams out. We're going to have the AFC West. The AFC West tomorrow. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be at 5 p.m. I hope you all will come to it. It's going to be amazing. As always, if you like this video, if you like today's stories, if you like the conversation, all the other content we're pumping out at an extraordinary rate on this channel, please do subscribe. Please do go to our Instagram. Be ready for other things. There's going to be some events, I believe, during the summer. We all know that the Day Stories Awards is going to be on July 10th. And there's no ads for that yet, but I can tell you it is because I'm kind of one of the people that organizes stuff at Day Stories. So that's something that's going to be coming up. And of course, the draft, everyone. Can't wait to see you all after it. And of course, before it with more videos. And as always, have a nice day. Subscribe, comment. Comment after the question that's in the there's like an about thing or something on our channel. I think it's discussion. Go ahead and answer that question. Start a community. I like community. That's what this is about. Go ahead and do something on there. All right, everybody. See you later. Goodbye.